Okay.
Hey, Phil the Cruz back cruising with Phil, part two of my special guest, Sherry Crawford, talking about Aboriginal, not say Aboriginal, Indigenous art, Indigenous lifestyle, and just sharing her love and passion, just sharing the knowledge and of the land, the people of this, which is lacking. We should be shared in high schools and grade schools, I think. So welcome back, Sherry, part two. You got your tea?
Thank you. I have my tea, yes.
Okay, good. I
My
look
only
at your.
beverage.
I know. I haven't took some of your pictures you just sent me. The first picture you got, is that your husband?
No, that's David Spector.
Oh, that's his. Okay, okay, I didn't recognize him. Yeah, he's aged, I guess. Right. I
He's
saw him years.
aged.
Yeah, years ago. Yeah, he still looks good. Yeah. So yeah, when it talk, yeah, just the first picture sent me there. I'll put on the internet after. Is you did it yourself? This is all yours.
What is
This,
that? These
the first
images?
picture, yeah, the image of the geese, goose. I'm thinking of the geese or a duck. It's a geese. This one here,
Oh, that's a loon.
the loon. Sorry.
Okay, that's a
Okay.
painting. It's called Daddy and Me, and I gifted that to a friend of mine who does these really cool gardens, and so
Okay.
he created me a 100-foot diameter medicine wheel with four 80-foot feathers, and it's all permaculture garden. So it's a community garden at Community Trust in Bancroft, and people can go and harvest the vegetables, and everyone comes out to help plant, and it's incredible. I'll have to send you a picture of that from the air,
Oh yeah, I love
drone
that.
shot. It's very cool. But the second project was this loon,
It's so
and
nice.
so he has a spot up in Bancroft that's, as you can see from the brown image, that's all garden, and that's that image created in the form of a garden. So that's all planted with sage and sweetgrass and berries and vegetables and garlic. And so we're having a big event coming up. I think it might even be this weekend. I'll get you the information, but where people are invited to come out and harvest some scapes free of charge and come out and take a look at the big loon lot and take it from
That's
there.
so
So that's going to be really exciting when that comes to life in the fall again when all the colors are the garden is growing and it's pretty incredible.
I think we should do more of that. Maybe,
Incredible,
yeah, just
incredible edible art gallery.
yeah. I just think so nice, and it should be more enhancing. But like my campaign I ran for mayor. Those are one of the things I want to have more community. Like in Montreal, when I lived down there, they have people grow their own gardens and stuff, and they have like a market on the street, and you can sell your
Exactly.
stuff, and you pay the local or your neighbor, and the money goes, and they take some of the money to go back to the community or to a restaurant, even like local restaurants that have a list of certain neighborhoods during the peak summertime or spring, what vegetables they need, so they can go and order it online, and they like you as a neighbor, I'm going down to so and so restaurant and deliver my pickles or my homemade stuff, and even like not just vegetables but also flowers, even little goods. But for
Hmm.
some reason, Toronto it's banned. You can't sell something on the front streets. It's illegal. I don't know why. But in Montreal, I used to like in the military. I get off on the base. I go get. They go, okay. And they give you paper bags there. You can bring your own, but they supply with paper bags, all recyclable, and you grab a bag, it's all free, and you just load up different neighbors, and they say, and they're all friendly, and the money goes back to them, and it goes in there. You know, like it's not a lot back then, but now it's more. But still, that money goes back
Hmm.
in the community to the neighbor, and they help each other out. And so I like the whole community. I love the whole community thing. We have gardens here, like we have like around subways and stuff. They and like some of the garden or the parks. They have like areas boarded up for like planting homemade gardens and all. Like people contribute all, which is nice to see. I don't know what the prices are, but I like what like your idea about this whole land there, right? Just
Yeah,
we just get away from the condos and just put some land there, put some vegetables there, right? The whole,
exactly.
like about Turtle Island where you're up here in Toronto. Turtle Island, that's another thing I talked to you in the campaign about trying to keep it as it is sacred, and they don't want to build people don't want to build on, take over the land, and just ruin it. It's because I would say it's a designated heritage site. I talked to some of the constituents there. They had a great talk about. They're surprised that I knew about native culture. They thought like they're trying to educate me. I said, yeah, I know about that. So it's kind of nice. I appreciate that. Yeah, just like lots of land. There's so much land out there, and it's unused, whatever. I always wanted, like, if I had some money, I always wanted to plant like a humongous field, for recycling of like migration of butterflies, vegetables, and plants, and ladybugs and all that. Just and also and just and just go back. There's a thing I saw in my in one of my interviews with a couple in Brazil, and one of the communities in Europe. They actually it's on the website. It's they plant vegetables and stuff like you're doing. And it goes back to the city, goes back to the community, goes back to housing, homelessness, people with the low incomes, and that's all. Like I think we need to get back to the roots. Like you said, this is what I liked about your culture, sharing your culture with me is the basic roots that we're stemmed away from it. We've become so conglomerate of the high prices and all that stuff, which is unnecessary. You know, we're so dependent on the I mean, I go the other day, I'm buying like stale spinach, like just paying $3 for this, like it
Mm,
gets frustrating. But if that there's more, I think there's more funny thing, somebody made a good thought the other day of a threat to grocery stores, these high grocery. There's more community gardens like what you're doing and what I'm saying, and out there, there's more competition, meaning it's all local and homegrown. People have the choice to go there and say, "Why would I go to the grocery store and pay all that and get crappy stuff and come back here and it's all soggy?" But it's because times a lot of stuff
mhm,
imported from the states, so they have the choice to go to like community gardens, like give back to the community, and you can pay whatever you want, or you can come help out in the garden, volunteer,
mhm.
get a whole thing. That needs to. I love to see that grow. I'd rather see that grow than a grocery store. Seriously, like
Yeah,
it's that.
right
Yeah,
on. Well, back in the day, if you were hungry, I was hungry, right?
yeah, yeah. And the food you love, like the land island of Grenada. My sister-in-law lived there with my brother, and I said you could actually live off the land. You would never starve living off this land. Literally, you don't have to work or nothing because the
Mhm,
land is the spice, the spice capital of the world. But the stuff they sell there, the homemade, it's all local. Like you just go pick whatever you want. So it's nice.
mhm.
So yeah, I like how we talked about the different cultures and all, and we were talking about the what do you call it? You said the three sisters.
Oh
Yeah,
yes,
people don't know about that. Yeah, you know, and we're talking about the and
that's
sorry, go ahead.
yeah, that's just the three sisters is corn, bean, and squash, right? It's
Yeah,
just how we would plant the corn, the squash would grow up the corn, and that's was a very good way to do things.
I saw some videos about that. I was trying to educate some of my friends about that. I said, you go take this YouTube video. What's the three sisters? They go look at that. They go, and then they look and they go like, wow, I didn't know that's so amazing. That really happened. Yeah, it's been going on since way back before you were born. There's the stuff that traditions and all, and like with your van, like when you get your van, hopefully you get your van and inspire people, and then and you're also also expanding about doing like your own like you ever thought of doing your own like podcast like I'm doing here, like talking about cultures and
Oh, yeah. No,
I
I don't
think
have enough time. I mean,
yeah,
for an artist, when you've got to create the art
yeah,
and to create, you have to be in a certain headspace. You
yeah,
have to be motivated and you have to be in a creative mood. And I find that a lot of times, I have to shut that off because now I have to do the admin stuff. I have to do the
yeah.
bookings and the vendors markets, and then you got to go and keep the website update and all that stuff. So it's
It's just
there's too much.
yeah, it is time
It's like a
consuming.
carpenter. He's got to go and make his own
Yeah.
wood before he builds his house, right? It's just
Yeah, I know
it's
what
a
you mean.
lot
Like
of
I'm an
steps.
artist with like artist mindset. I'm like, I did this. I updated that. I did that picture, but it took me a while to get into it. I procrastinate. Like you getting that mindset of doing
Yeah, you
any kind
have
of
to
art.
be.
Yeah,
Yeah,
and then you got to like
I
get
know.
away.
A lot of times my creativity starts at like midnight, and the next thing you know, I'm up till like 4 a.m. because I'm in the zone. So it's hard to then get up the next day and do a normal work day when you've been up all night painting. But that's okay too. So.
Oh, I forgot we had to talk about your background. I know you're from Bancroft. Where are you from Bancroft? Raised and born there?
Yeah, I was raised right on the shores of Anderson Lake, near Potash Lake, up in just outside of Bancroft. There
Mhm.
was my aunt and uncle had a place, and then it was my grandparents, and then it was us. So we grew up side by side and right on the water. And we didn't have an indoor washroom. We had cold running water, so my mom carried water from the lake to wash our clothes and things like that. And I'm sure it was harder for her than it was for us. I
Yeah.
didn't really grow up knowing what racism was. I never experienced racism until I decided to claim my identity, and then I noticed it, and it's like, oh my gosh, and I have a much more respect for other cultures, even especially my own too, because you know, uh, even though I did grow up um, a result or survival of all the residential schools and stuff, I didn't have to experience it, and so um, I feel very fortunate and very grateful for my upbringing. I grew up, we hunted and we fished, and my dad would bring a deer home, and it would be on the kitchen table, and all of us, the whole family's in there with our knives, and we're helping to clean it and get it prepared to put in the freezer. So that was, a real family time that we spent together, or the whole family. We would hop in the car and we'd go out to Algonquin Park and pick blueberries, or we'd go out and spend the day picking strawberries and bring those home. And so I grew up with a lot of good memories
That's so
like
nice.
that.
Yeah. Just the
Hmm.
core basis of living off the land and
Yeah,
all, right? That's so
exactly.
cool.
My dad, he could fix anything, he could build anything, and he could hunt anything, and he was a really amazing fellow.
I was teaching my nephew, my two nephew, my nephew niece when they're babysitting them. This is by Pickering, by Petticoat Creek. So I used to take them on day camping trips. Going. I teach them how to love the land from what I was learned, like how to like if you don't have a clock, or you how to have the daylight. If you're lost, where to go north, south, what things
Mhm.
to eat, what things to plant, and they're remembered to this day. Like because
That's good. Yeah.
when my niece having problems with my sister or her dad, she went to go live in the forest. And she said, yeah, my godfather, my uncle Phil taught me how to survive in the forest. What are you teaching my kid? Like, well, what do you think I'm going to teach him when I go camping with them? Well, see what do? Sit around and have hot
Yeah,
dogs all day and marshmallows? Gotta teach them
I
the basics.
know.
Yeah, but a lot of them don't know that. And you also earlier you said about racism. Like I grew up with no racism. I didn't want to my there's any difference. My dad's dark, he's Indian, Spanish. My mother's white, Irish. We used to go out all the time. And then when I started going to school, there's all the racist remarks, and they go like they saw my parents at PA night, teachers night, and they go like, so I go like, what are you talking about? What does that mean? I didn't know it. Like you said, I had to get educated in the races. Then I had to look back. Oh, okay, they are different colors. I didn't know that. you know,
Yeah,
or even
exactly.
different colors. Yeah, like even and I heard some of the other say like something about they talk about the different the six nations. They said, what's all about? Aren't they all the same? I go, no, they're not all the same. It's just yourself, right? Because I guess that
Hmm.
for being so these movies, like they think that one you see one Indian on the John Wayne movie, they're all the same, like they're all the same all over North
Yeah.
America. We kick them out and
Well,
all that.
that's why when I do one of my demonstrations or my circle teachings, I am very cautious about what I say, and I also make sure that I let people know that this is from my Anishinaabe teachings. This is not Cree or Mohawk, or they are very distinct, and so we can't just throw everybody into the same bucket, right? We're not all the same, and there's a term for that called pan-Indianism, and people just think we're all the same, but no, we're very different. I mean, even a reserve like Curve Lake, the way they spell a word at one end of the reserve could be different than the way they spell
Yeah.
it or pronounce it at the other end of the reserve. It's just, so it's just random, and everybody has their own way, and it's right for them,
One of my
so.
uh, one of my buddies in the military, he's from Algonquin Nation. He told me that when we're educating me about the different backgrounds, he said, Phil, I'll drop my feather from my nation. By the time it hits the ground, there's so many. It'll have so many different meanings by the time it hits the ground. My feather that I drop from the point. That's his thing. So I kind of like thought about it. That's so cool. Yeah. By the time that feather drops from his nation down to the ground, will be have different ways of spelling it, different ways of meaning it, what that means, different way of beliefs. So
That's
yeah.
very cool. I remember an elder once telling me they have what they call a feather teaching, and you go into the ceremony with the elder, and you don't leave until he tells you the ceremony is finished. And this feather teaching, every single spine on that feather is a separate teaching.
Wow, that's so nice.
So he'll go through each and every single one. It might take 2 weeks, but you do not leave that
Oh, that's so cool. That's like a
ceremony until.
that's a neat discipline to have.
Exactly. It's a way of discipline. And I know a lot of elders they'll speak very softly and quietly. And, they do that with purpose because, if, there's noise going on, and, if you want to hear what he's saying, you're going to get nice and close and you're going to listen.
So, yeah.
And that's what the message is. You want to hear what I'm saying, you listen. If you don't want to hear, then go off with all the other distractions and do your thing. But anyone that's interested are going to get close, and they're going to listen to what I
That should be
have to say.
that should be like a man-year education for different cultures. They're like this. we learn about other people's. It's funny. Toronto's a very 70% different nationalities, right? We had each culture is identified, but when you go looking for indigenous, all yours is about besides the land thing and all that. But you like there's no like I honestly I don't. You told me this the other day. I don't eat in restaurants to serve homemade indigenous food, right? Like I have to look for it. Like it's not
Hmm.
like it's out there all the time, right? Unless you go to people's places like
Like a
Bank.
powwow or
Yeah, yeah.
something, yeah.
Like you don't have to. Why should you have to go smaller towns to discover all these cultures or whatever? So like even
Hmm.
some of the there's some sort of stores on off of Sheridan Hotel. They sell a lot of indigenous art, and I always go there on purpose, and I ask, did you who's paying for this? Or is the money going back to the community? And then they can never answer the question because they don't like answering. They go, does it go back to the community, or you get is all the money, or did I go? Did they sell you their crafts for a low payment, and then you gave them a little, and you charge a lot, and then that goes in your pocket, and they don't like that, right? It's so true.
Well, it's true. Well, look at even Mark's Work Warehouse, for example. I'm going to call them out.
Oh yeah,
You
yeah,
can
yeah.
go in and you can see their Every Child Matters t-shirts.
Oh
And
yes,
I'm looking at that and I say to them, where's this money going? And they have a sign there that says this money is going to educate sports teams, children's sports teams about the indigenous culture. And it's like
sports teams.
bullshit.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah. So, I mean, that's the kind of stuff. And, I mean, you can go around and be angry all the time.
yeah,
But I remember Dr. Phil saying years ago, do you want to be right or do you want to be happy?
yeah.
And they're two very different things, right? Like, I mean, I know I'm right. We know we're right. All of these things happened. But, if you try to fight them all, you're never happy,
Never gonna have. Yeah, yeah.
So I kind of deal with what comes across my direction. And if there's something that needs to be spoken about, then I will, but I don't go out of my way to try and um, find trouble, but I am an advocate for animals and elders and children because they don't have a voice for themselves, and the trees and the land and air, all these things, they do need people to speak up for them, right? So that's kind of what I want to do through my art is hope to make those connections that people say, oh wow, there's a face in that tree. Well, that's because we respect our trees,
Yeah, it's so
we
true.
call them standing people, right? They're our relatives. You're hungry, you go and you take food. If you're cold, you build a fire. If you're hot, you stand under the shade. I mean, they clean our air. I mean, they're pretty important things, and yet we just seem to hack them down without even a second thought, right? And
Funny you mentioned that. Just what you, I was thinking that when you mentioned when I walked away from your table the other day, and I looked at all your art, I kept thinking of this thing like all her art has feeling. You know,
mm,
it's so cool. Like you
hmm
said with the nature and trees. Oh, I just told some people down at the city hall there. I said they've now proven that if you plant 3 trees in an exact triangle form, it creates more oxygen for that area rather than just a single
mm,
tree. Like, where'd you get that education from? I got it from the our original peoples. Where'd they get that from? Well, I don't know. They got it from I don't ask. I just educate. But it's so true.
right.
Everything has feeling. Trees have feeling. Respect
Hmm.
everything you have. Yeah, I also respect definitely. That's why I'm very at like I think I told you before. I'm adamant. I don't support anything with abuse of animals. I don't support Calgary Stampede. I know a lot of people support that. I'll say it right there. I don't. I will never go to that. I don't go to circuses with animals. Before I was a kid, I had no choice. I didn't know the difference, but now I do. Because and then
Right.
also what's that? Also they have the Royal. I'm gonna get dinged for this. The Royal Ontario Winter Fair they have every year down at a
Hmm.
CNE.
The
I used to
agricultural area.
agriculture. Yeah, I used to go to, but now I don't because I don't like the way they treat animals, and I refuse to.
Mm,
The last time I went down there was a couple years ago, and they had all they're all having their breaks in the stalls. The horses there, and their horses are tied there to the like right to the fence there. And I looked at this horse. I don't know what it's called, a horse first. This horse looked in my face, and it looked right in his eyes, and I just saw the sadness of his heart and aching. I just felt it. And I said, I can't
mhm,
be here anymore. I can't come back to this. I can't deal. And I
mhm.
said to him, I said, how can you tie you're having your lunch, or how can you tie that? Give him some room, No, he's gonna get loose. No, oh my gosh. I said, I can't deal with that. No, I wouldn't,
No.
no, just yeah, feeling of the art. And I think we need to teach our kids that. A lot I teach all my nephews and nieces about when I take them about nature, I say the butterfly, I talk about the butterfly. You can follow the butterfly, it migrates. You follow the ladybug, you follow this centipede, you can follow the frog. They're all they're all ecological cycle. Just like the whole thing going on with the Ontario place, the whole thing with therm coming in and all that. That's a whole natural area. It's been built up in the last 40 years, even before that. That's all natural land and natural habitat. Even though it was all man-made, but still what's built around it.
Mhm.
I even asked them during some of these seminars that you're gonna ruin the whole ecological system. Oh no, we got. I like when people say that. Oh, we tore 3 trees. Well, we're gonna plant 20 more trees now. Yeah, but that's gonna take like 40 years for the tree to grow. You know what I mean? So,
Exactly.
I told them that if you take all those 80, there's about 80 trees right now there, or 800 trees they want to get rid of. I said, you take those trees, that's gonna ecologically affect that whole area. People walk in that area, absorb the fresh air. Plus, you're gonna invite
Shade.
unknown. Yep, exactly. Yeah, but they don't see that. They don't see that. They just see the dollar aspect of, we're gonna they're like it's the excuse of the land thing. We acknowledge the land. Well, we acknowledge that we tore this tree apart, but we're gonna put like 4 more trees there. That's okay. We can deal with that. I let my conscience eat. But then mean that you destroyed a rare species that's living in that forest. You mean that little bug and that little fly won't affect you, but that affects the whole environment because that feeds off other animals and that affects the environment. And that oxygen goes back and that food goes back to the land. It's all connected. I get riled up when I talk about I call it ecological dormancy. That shouldn't be like that. Even like they talk about bringing these species from palm trees from over to break this humongous spa. And I asked the border service. I said, "Don't you have a policy about illegal plant life stuff coming over?" So how are they going to get away with that? I said also they just I think the news or a couple months ago they had a thing in the news that this dormant species was living on this tree after about what over 1,000 years it woke up. It was put in a new environment and woke up. And I said, like, that's something you don't look into. Like, if you bring all this stuff over and all these trees are gone and all these nature's gone, this stuff's dormancy and it absorbs the heat. You're going to heat this place up with, artificial lighting on, and that'll wake things up. Species that they can't even see in the human eye. And that'll affect the system and the environment. That's going to people's health. They actually had a thing. It was a small town. I think it was in North America, and they actually proved, it's still documented, that they removed all these surplus trees and affected all nature in a small town. That small town, before they had a great healthy lifestyle, there's no diseases, major things, but because they removed this whole environment of trees and species, it within a 40-year period, there's kids are suffering health problems, asthma, more health problems because that dependency of that nature and that oxygen was gone, right? Just natural stuff. So you put all this art, and then they're in medication on. It's an interesting documentary I saw. It's kind of neat. So I kind of related with all the stuff of the big city. Bring all this big city, tear things down. And all that. I look at some of the old pictures of the land there, like all Toronto, like all the trees and all that stuff. I remember back then I was growing up that before any of this was all like, it was all trees. Used to love it. Now it's like a concrete jungle and all. So I think we need
Mhm.
to bring more of the art and cultures back there. I look at all some of the art behind you there. It's so
Oh,
yeah, it's
yeah.
nice. Yeah, yeah. You do all that.
Thank
Yeah.
you.
Wow. So you can do nice
Well,
stuff.
there's a lot of environmental destruction and it's not all in big cities, right? I mean, look at grassy narrows.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah. Oh yeah.
they're still trying to fight the whole mercury poisoning thing and they
Yeah.
need clean water. I mean, their children have big sores all over their bodies because of the water. And, people don't want to hear that. They don't want to hear about those
No.
kind of situations, but that's what's going on right today. And, like I did a course in archaeological training. And, I thought about it, as we were doing this, what did our ancestors leave? We left stones, bones, and a little bit of pottery.
Yeah.
And now, when we were digging up half a cow, we were digging up plastic and bottles and just all kinds of garbage that the farmers would just dig holes and plant in their field. And it's so sad that there is so little respect for the earth that, and this goes on every day,
Yeah. All these
in one
chemical
way or
plants.
another.
I've been worked at a copper plant in Richmond Hill years ago, and this is back then they can get away with it. They had actually had a rail train coming to bring the supplies in, but there's humongous land. This big. Now it's been sold. The business went under, but now the property is sitting empty, and because they don't want to spend the money, because all the plants, all the mills, they should dump all the oil, all the stuff in the land, just dump it at random, right? And that's why.
Exactly. So
Yeah,
then, 100 years from now, people are not going to know about that, or they start digging it up and stuff.
yeah.
Yeah,
And that's why,
not good.
like to this day, I think to this day, it still sits empty because they don't spend the money digging up that land and all the stuff that's been dumped there all the last 50 years. So it's just it's a hot piece of property, the land. It's right in Richmond Hill, right in the core. But nobody wants to buy it. Nobody wants to do it. It's just a waste.
Where is that? I used to live in Richmond Hill.
I was on just south of Elgin Mills on
Hmm.
Young. Just come down there and it's right across from there's a No Frills Plaza there. And there used to be, I think there's still a Wendy's there. There's a Frankfurter pizza place. There's a Jack Mario's. It's that little plaza there, and they're just off. I used to live off Trayborn Drive, so it's just that little plaza right across was the plant. I used to walk there from my building, and that's the whole hunk of it. It's just all fenced off now, you know.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, just I saw pictures when I used to work there, and all the railway. Still, I don't know why they didn't make it a heritage site because it's part of history, but because the company that bought it out ended up not using the land because that was too expensive digging it up and doing the soil samples and all. But just beautiful. It would have been beautiful just, but back then, like this is
Nice
just
little
one example
park.
things. Yeah, they just the guys did their 40, 20 years they worked there. They used to dump it all barrels of oil, use oil because everything goes with oil and water, dirt and chemicals, just dumped in the field. It's all over the place. So you never know where it's contaminated, right? So just one
Hmm.
example, different areas like they're
Oh,
kind of
yeah.
clean their act. That was one of the funny when people talk about the freighters that pollute the water at sea and all that. And, there's one commercial like it's one of my pet peeves. I can't stand this commercial. Is the one with the it's a dove. I'm not putting down dove, but they use nature to sell their product. So I don't know if you've seen the commercial. There's the ducks are swinging the oil because there's an oil spill in the water. So and Duff was there to help out the little ad. So they got the little duck all covered in oil. And they wash it with the dove soap, and then they're trying to sell the product, right? I say, yeah, okay. Why don't you
Yeah.
go further? Why don't you go to the example? Do a commercial. How did that duck get to be like that?
Yeah. Yeah,
Just
I know.
it's so funny. But I love
Hmm.
I also love I'm big with whales. I love whales. Especially sea life and all. I tell people the story back in the middle, just before I got into the nature studies and all. I was also respectful of nature, but not more into the studies of it. I was in the ship in the west coast in BC. They had a lot of killer whales there, right? That's what I learned today about respecting nature. I was in the scuba gear down the water with six of us. We were fixing this weapon there in the ship there, and everybody went to go have lunch on the ship, and I was down there by myself. I said, "I'll be there in a minute. I just gotta tighten this up." And I have those funny thoughts. I tell the story to all my friends. I had this funny thought because there was whales in the air, like. So I said, just one thought. I said, I'd love to touch a killer whale, just like that. Just one thought in my head, and just like that, this killer whale came out right there, just popped right out of there right? And I was like freaking out. This thing,
No
you don't
kidding.
realize how big this thing is, right? You see in the distance, right? So this thing's just looking and it's looking at me in the eye. And I look at him as and and these guys are like they can hear the water commotion. They're coming down. They're grabbing their weapons, right? I didn't know this was going on. So I look at this whale, he's just bobbing, just bobbing, whatever. So I said, I'm only gonna go chance. If I want to die with this whale, I want to catch it before I die. So I looked in the eyes. I went to go touch the whale, and he was just so calm. He or she was so calm. I just touched it just nicely, and then it was gone, disappeared, just like that.
Wow.
Just one thought of that, and just to that
Hmm.
day, so I have to change my view about nature. And I mean, I respected nature back then, but after that, and then these guys are
And our
looking.
connection, right? Like,
Yeah,
that
it is.
whale knew what you
Yeah, and
wanted
that
and
new that, and I always say whales know about echo. We still learn about whales and ecology. We still have a lot to learn about nature from nature about how to live better.
mhm.
Just even trees like down in Lakeshore, there was this old willow tree. It was all saturated water, it was soaking. So I tell these they're working on this pool, the Sunnyside pool. I said these construction workers, hey, I think you got a water leak underground. Well, how do you know? Look at that tree. It's a weeping willow. It's full of water. They didn't believe me, and then they found the connection. The hole was all. They had to shut down the pool for a bit. Yeah, just we learn from nature. Just an example. So that whole thing with the
Mhm.
whales, they just changed my whole view and about they're more appreciative. Just like I mean, to this day, I can't explain it. Just I mean, I didn't even say it out loud. I just said it in my head.
Mhm.
So then my friends had
Well,
to change.
that's how it works.
Yeah, I know, and that's it.
But
And it
we forgot all that. That was all trained out of us, right? So,
yep, it's so true. It's so funny.
mhm.
So you teach art? Do you teach art to like students and kids as well?
um, I don't really teach per se. I share a little bit of the teachings that I know through my art, but I don't go to actually teach classes or anything like that. I've been asked if I wanted to teach some art classes. But unless it's indigenous students,
Yeah.
then it's cultural appropriation. So I don't want to be teaching other people how to do indigenous art styles and stuff like that. So But Indigenous students, yes, actually, I'm hoping to participate in a what do you call a student summer camp next week up in Bancroft. It's a lady runs it's like trail rides,
Oh, nice.
Mountain Creek Ranch, and she offers educational walkabouts on plants and what's edible and what's good and what's not. And then she does the trail rides and the pony rides. So I'm going to go up. She has a class of Indigenous students, so I'm going to go up and share some art and some teachings with them next week.
Oh, that's
That'll be
cool.
fun.
It's like a
Hmm.
calming, it's a calming effect. People that have been in these experiences, they all come back, feel so calm, feel so
Yeah.
nice. It is. It's
Hmm.
because nature is calm, and you go. Well, it's funny. I typically get away for the weekend, visits, and we just go camping or get on the park or take your kids riding. And it's just a calming effect, because you're around nature. I tell people just appreciate nature. Just you're not just spending time with your family, but because that surrounding is protecting you. Mother Earth and Father Sky is protecting you in a way that you don't realize. It's calming your heart inside. So you take that away, you feel the effects. That's
Hmm.
so again about
Yeah,
yeah,
nothing's
sorry.
better than going outside with your bare feet and
Yeah,
just putting your
oh,
bare
it's
feet in
nice.
the ground and grounding yourself and connecting to our mother.
It's so cool. Yeah, I like the I used to have, we had a competition in running in the military. You had these guys from Ethiopia, they do the competition, and they're all their bare feet running. And people go, how do they do that? It's the way they live, right? People don't realize that. I find it funny. I think we respect people's way they live, like cultures and native people here. Just respect. You don't have to like the whole thing about the change of the schools and all this stuff. But you could accept change. People they could respect your differences, so they want to absorb you in their culture, which is on it causes so much problem, so much death. And unfortunately, that's the thing. Any culture, it's just to respect and appreciate the air just because they're different doesn't mean they're not the same. They're not the same quality as you as a person. Just like my friends, like my nephews, nieces, and I took like years ago, I took my three cousins out on a nature walk just for fun, and they loved it. And they just said, "Wow, I never thought about usually just hike and bike and that's it, but that's all fast paced. But I teach them about things around the plant life and all, and what you eat and all that, and just they come back, they ask you, no, look, that's fine. So with your van, I hope you get your van. That'd be nice to like travel around and then you can educate. You can have like even portable teaching
Right.
art. Yeah, that's
Hmm.
it. Do
Yeah,
you think we'll
it'd
give you?
be so much easier, that's for sure, just to have it all in one location and then,
Yeah, it is a
bring it
lot of
out
work.
and set
Yeah,
it up. It's a
taking
lot
up a lot
easier
of.
than
It's so
I
cool. So
used to
yeah,
do workshops back in 2005, 2006,
okay,
but it was the same thing, like I would supply all the materials to
yeah,
make our own talking sticks and medicine wheels. And it was, people loved the workshops, but, hauling all the material that I need to do my demonstration and everything, stones and rocks, and,
oh yeah,
it
yeah.
gets heavy. And then, you're just bringing it out of the house and into the car and then out of the car and into the
It is.
facility and set it up in there and then unpack it and put it back in the car and then bring it for the car back home. And after about, well, doing that for a year or so, I said, yeah, I can't do
Yeah, it
this.
just takes yeah,
It's
people it takes its toll. Like even anything like any project is I always say look, I always tell people I look when I see things on display like yours, I say, look at the background behind how they got to that point. They gotta bring everything in, bring it out, it's just that's what interests me more than just the visuals or whatever, the
right.
background. It just takes its
And
toll.
with my art, like it's taken me 25 years to go back and do the work to learn this stuff that I can actually share it in my art. And so, when people say, "Oh, that's expensive," and it's like, well, no, that's 25 years of work right there,
Yeah.
so
I like when the people say, "Oh, well, how much you charge for that?" Well, that's expensive. Well, the amount of the hours that go making that, plus the hours spent designing in your head and putting on paper, take that into
Well,
consideration.
I have a philosophy of like, people spend their money how they want to spend their money, right? I mean, some people have no problem going out and spending $100 on a bottle of wine or a bag of weed, or they'll spend $10,000 on a Chesterfield, or $50,000 on a car. Everybody has their own uh, ideal of what their money is worth. So, I mean, if I'm selling a piece of art for $100 and someone thinks that's too expensive, well, then they just don't want that art. And that's okay with me, but I'm not going to sell it to you for $20 because you want to
Yeah.
go out and spend $200 on a something else, right? So
Yeah.
you choose your priorities. If you like my art and you want to buy it, then
Good.
it's
I'm glad that
available. And if not, that's okay too. So
stick to your principle. I love it. Yeah, it's good. So I got about five
mm,
minutes left. So, anyways, I want to say thank you, Sherry, for coming on the show. I really appreciate it. I love your enthusiasm. I love meeting you that day. Destiny met together, and
yep,
then have you come back to the show whenever you want. And you got anything to promote? I'll put send me the link to the your son's website. I can put that on there. He'll work on this one here. And anything you want to send me for links and anything you want to send me for what coming up things in Bancroft, just let me give me the information. I'll advertise it for you and just promote that. Get you some.
sure. And send me all your links so I can go on
Oh,
and see all
yeah,
your
yeah.
stuff too.
And I'll send you a copy. Yeah, and I'll send you copies of the our interviews. You get your own copies. You can
Oh,
advertise it.
okay,
Yeah, I always send people the copies and all.
great.
So I'll sign off for now and say thank you so much. It's been an honor
You're
having you.
welcome.
It's great way to end the Friday, the weekend. Having
Yeah,
somebody from our original peoples on my show. I love it. I've had
right
them a long.
on.
Yeah,
Well, if anybody's out in about in the Peterborough area tomorrow, we are set up at the Great Canadian RV. Great place to try and fundraise for an RV. And there's going to be all kinds of things going on there, helicopter rides. It's a big open house, music, and so come on out and you'll see me tomorrow.
that's great. Great. You're a great person. I love your energy. Just love your energy. I love you. Just
Thank
meeting you.
you.
Yeah. So thank you so much,
Okay,
Sherry. Have a good weekend,
you're welcome.
and we'll
Thank you very much.
keep in touch. Okay, I'll send you the copies of
For
that.
sure.
Okay. All right.
Awesome.
Thanks.
Thanks. Okay.
Take
Bye-bye.
care.